Century Fox and Cliff and I had a memorable trip to New Orleans on Solaris. And Contagion in theaters currently. J. Ralph, right there, raise your hand. Scored the back-to-back Academy Award-winning films The Cove and Man on Wire, as well as the documentary Wretches and Jabberers. I don't know if they're cheering for you or for Man on Wire. And his latest project is the Sundance Grand Jury Prize-winning documentary Hell and Back Again, the story of the Billboard Film and TV Music Conference. Kurt Smith, where is he? Right there. We have our shout out for Tears for Fears. As well as has an amazing solo career. He's writing music for film, television, and the web, and recently scored the independent feature Meth Head, the Robert Kraft story. It's really bad jokes. And Mervyn, who I've known for so long, 5-time Grammy Award winner, 10-time nominee, scored films such as The Wedding Planner, A Walk to Remember, and Honey, produced and arranged Grammy-nominated multi-platinum soundtrack for The Preacher's Wife, and is currently scoring A Joyful Noise, which I believe I saw you scoring on the 20th Century Fox lot a couple of weeks ago. Is that the show you were working on? First of all, a little preemptive round of applause for the astonishing work. And by the way, to just preempt, I'd like you to just give me a couple thoughts about the difference between what that is like for you and what it's like to be scoring a film.
Well, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm the newest to the film scoring world here on the stage. And for me, I mean, we're in the middle of, right now we're working on a Linkin Park record. And it is, working on the score for the raid is definitely a change of gears. Mostly because, besides the fact that the music and the story, the inspiration is coming from somebody else, the picture on screen, but the approach, for when it comes to the Linkin Park song, I think we're really trying to grab you and pull you in with melody and words and hooks and big sound in our case. And when it comes to this picture, there's definitely times to do that, and I don't want to. There are definitely moments for that, and then there are definitely moments where the music needs to be invisible. So I think Joe and I have had a lot of fun, finding that right balance at times when you want the music to be out front, to be just as brutal as the images are on screen, and then or even more if we can get there. I don't know if you can with a movie like The Raid. Yeah, moments when the music can just kind of sit in the background, and that underscore is a talent and skill that I'm at this moment I think I'm kind of still learning and having a lot of fun.
Joe, can you tell us a little bit about how the two of you collaborated?
Sure.
And how it was with Daft Punk as well?
Well, when collaborating with an artist, I have so much fun because it takes me out of myself. As a film composer, as an orchestrator, as a writer, you're going to be sitting in the studio alone 99% of your time. But I've been very fortunate to work with great artists, like you mentioned, Punk and now Mike, and that kind of removes you from overthinking things yourself and being over involved in things, and it allows me to open up and go places where I couldn't go before, and I hope the artists feel that way too. But the question was how we are working together. It's been quite easy actually. We're both on top of the technical side of things, so sharing music and sharing files around is great.
It's really, the sharing is actually, that part is really, as far as technology making that process easy. I'm really comfortable working at home, and we swap files. We'll swap semi-finished files. We'll swap unfinished files. Just the other day, I gave Joe something that I said, this can go in a million different directions. and I want to see kind of where it goes for you, and then I'll take it after that.
And you'll do the same for me. You took a cue that I was struggling with. I was like, oh, I'm not sure where this should go. Oh, Mike said, oh, let me take this, and I think I know a few things to do with it. And it's just great to be able to have someone to turn to and say, what do you think, rather than just going crazy, beating yourself up all alone.
Oh, God. Well, Kurt, when you write a song, I imagine you tap into one particular place in you. When you write something for a picture or for someone else, is it a different process creatively?
Yeah, it's completely different. I mean, when you're writing songs for yourself, as all artists do, it's all about me. But it is. I mean, it's about what you feel and your emotions, and you're trying to get something out of your system about your experiences. When you're writing for a movie, and I've done both. Written a song specifically, like the outro song for this one movie I just finished, plus writing music, and the two are very, very different. You're trying to capture the emotion of the scene, which is, I find it a fascinating process. I mean, I'm sitting there because this is the first movie I've ever scored, and you try different things, and it's a lot of sort of trial and error, and you realize certain types of music make you focus on different people in the scene. And I found all that side of it absolutely fascinating, like, how you can completely change who you're focusing on in a scene in a film just by changing the music somewhat. So, and it's just basically, I think the difference between writing for movies is obviously you're trying to write something that goes along with something visual. And writing music for myself is always like my emotions and what's in my head.
Like that.
They have a truth factor, and you can't really, you have to be very careful not to be too overwhelming or too impressionistic, because you're handling the truth. I think I'm always trying to convince the editors and the directors to pull it back. I think that the music, should only be used for most of it to help push the story along. It's not really supposed to be a character unless it isn't supposed to be a character, and you want to notice it in a big maybe transition scene or something like that. But it's something that I found that working on those films also is that the budgets are a lot smaller, and you can get so much more out of less. Fewer pieces, and always being surprised that a piano and cello can almost sound as big as a 70-piece orchestra, and it's infinite space.
Love that. It's amazing how much actually you can reduce it to. Sometimes silence is the biggest noise you can make. Mervyn, what was the first piece of music you wrote to picture, and how was that different from your experience as a recording artist?
First, I believe it was a short film directed by Kim Fields, the actor. I had met her through Take 6, and she was, we were just friends, and I moved to LA, and she had directed a film, ironically titled Silent Bomb. Not a great title for a film, but it sounded I probably should explain, now that the laughter has subsided, that the film actually was about HIV. So she was, it was a really wonderful little piece. But that was the time, and I scored that for her. And your question is, how was it different? Even as a kid, I'm a pianist. People know me from Take 6, and so they think of me as a singer. But long before I ever sang, I was at the piano. And even as a kid, I would play along with the TV, or I would play along with people would say, I don't know, play Rain, and I would do something that, So just as a kid, I just said, I want to write for movies, I want to write for movies.
So when I finally had that opportunity, it was sort of like exhaling. I was like, wow, we're actually doing this for real. The thought process wasn't new because I had always sort of played with it, but it was a lot of fun to access that part.